Today all marks the start of another pretty boring day. Mohini spent the last few days eyeing me like a beaten dog every time our path met, surrounded by a group of friends who, on the other side, reserved me the worst of their scolds, closing up on her like if I had an intention to attack her or something. All this hypocrisy really irks me because I'm pretty sure that if I would put into my head to hook up with any of them, they would forget Mohini friendship, let alone existence, in a blink. Anyway, most of the time I was so high on my potion that I felt no guilt in regard of her, nor irritation in regard of her stupid friends. I felt only a wonderful thought-free exhilaration. In one of those moments, I went to check on the Yankee. Empty headed, not surprisingly, but thanks to my potion, what really struck me was only that she left the first three top buttons of her shirt undone. Enough to let me guess the size of what lay underneath. An hour later, she was giving me head in one of the loose cubicles. That night, I banged her in the trophy room. Not even the need of pretending I wanted to date her or something. Apparently, she fancied me regardless of the Potter thing. Nice. I'm starting to change my mind towards littering girls. At least they know what they want, and they are not hypocrites like the Hufflepuffs or violent like the Gryffindors. I met Ophelia in the corridor time to time, sometimes with Davis, and I never let slip the chance to reserve him some rude gestures. Every day a brand new one. My creativity is a buzz. And sometimes with chattering friends. In those moments, she seemed almost inclined to talk to me, but I ignored her pointedly. I'm still mortified about my silly hopes in her regards, and not too willing to hear pathetic apologies that won't change the situation. I'm about to shut myself in the dungeon for potions, feeling quite knackered by a sleepless night. The corridors are full of students coming and going, and I'm making my way tiringly to the door, followed by Francis and Patrick, who, on the other side, are short of buoyant today. Our attention is caught by a sudden bellow that rings clearly in all the mayhem of the students' shouts. "Romulus Lupin? That's impossible!" We turn just in time to see a quite livid McGonagall swishing fast by us, followed clumsily by the caretaker, the stammered chunk of words ignored completely by her. I frown, vaguely remembering that that's dead father's name. Bizarre. It's quite an unusual name. Lesson is about to start, so I take my place setting up my cauldron, focus my feeble attention only on a way to nick some ingredient for my personal use, and 2 seconds later I completely forgot about it. It's almost break time, and I'm quite starving. This afternoon we haven't got any lessons. Francis and Patrick suggested playing Quidditch in the grounds since it's not raining, and I might join them. A lot of homework has accumulated, but my mind is too fuzzy to go through it, and there is no point, really. Arithmetic lesson is almost up. A subject I chose only because Mom thought it could be useful for my future, and I'm consequently failing dismally now. I'm in one of those moments in which I'm only thinking about what to eat for lunch, when a knock at the door makes us all turn toward the door. It's McGonagall, with a more than usual tense expression. "I apologize for the intrusion, Professor Vector, but I need Potter to come with me." Francis leans toward me, whispering, "What have you done?" "Nothing today," I say, trying to recollect. I didn't ditch any lessons in the last few days, nor I've done anything worth of McGonagall attention. Nothing she can know about, anyway. "We are almost done for today, Mistress. It is not a problem," Professor Vector answers, nodding dismissively at me. I gather my things, murmuring to Patrick and Francis that I'll join them in the dining hall, and I go toward McGonagall, followed by everybody stares. As soon as the door closes behind us, I spot Albus beside McGonagall, looking at me inquiringly. I respond with the same. I see in his eyes the same panic I'm starting to feel. We are both reminded of when something similar happened, and McGonagall told us that our whole family was at some mango unconscious. Mum was still alive, but those bastards of healers didn't allow any of us to see her until she was quite dead. I heard Uncle Bill whispering to Grandma that it was better that way. He had seen her. McGonagall starts to walk briskly in the corridor. We lag behind, and I'm about to stop her to have explanation when she precedes me. "You have a visitor," she say without stopping her trot. I hasten to walk on her side. "A visitor, Headmistress?" "Yes," she only answers coldly without adding anything else. We are going up on a flight of stairs. "Who?" I stammer while Albus catches up on my side, clearly upset. I place an hand on his shoulder reassuringly. "You will find out soon enough," she says cuttingly. I won't take this. I leap in front of her, making her stop in a mid-step. She almost stumbles up over me. "Is everybody okay, for God's sake?" I ask aggressively. I see her faltering, and that really makes me frantic. "Is Sunny okay?" I bellow, and my voice almost choked with dread. "She is fine, Potter," she replies, staring hard at me. "And Dad?" Albus asks with urgency. McGonagall looks at him without answering. Then she overtakes me and regains her brisk step on the stairs. Me and Albus exchange a glance. He is almost on the verge of tears, and that urges me on in shouting behind her, "You didn't answer Albus' question!" She stops and looks toward us a few steps down. "He is fine," she says cautiously. "Everybody is fine. Now follow me," she concludes, stern, getting to the top of the stairs and turning right in the corridor. I nod to Albus to follow up, and we're both behind her again. This part of the castle is rarely used, therefore particularly empty and quiet. Our steps echo on the hard stone floor, and sporadic windows brighten the grey walls. My heart is racing, wondering who this visitor can be and to tell us what. My mind is blank, probably too preoccupied to be able to make hypotheses. McGonagall's face is too sad to be something pleasant. And somehow I feel like everything that has to do with both of us called outside lessons, it cannot be pleasant. We halt in front of a wooden door. It's a dismissed classroom. I used it a couple of times, but never for a lesson. I notice Albus following every single of McGonagall's gesture in palpable distress. Once the door is open, she beckons us to get inside. Desks are neatly in lines, and the whole room is illuminated by a big arched window. In the middle of it, sitting on two chairs, two men are exchanging a low talk with grim expressions. One is Professor Longbottom, and now I understand why this morning our biology lesson has been cancelled. And the other one is a man, at first I don't recognize. He's tall and his longish hair are quite blonde, almost white under the rays of the pallid sun that comes from the windows. His eyes, ice blue. As soon as the door opens and he sees us, his face opens up in a smile as he stands up, and the way he moves reveals me in a flash who is he, just as Albus bellows, "Dad!" He sprints past me, and before I can pull myself together, he is in his arms, open, ready to welcome him. He squeezes him, and they both explode in a laugh. "How are you doing?" he asks, taking him by the shoulders and looking straight into his eyes. The merriment drops with that question, to which is clearly difficult to give a positive answer. Albus only nods, not apt to pronounce any word, all choked up by emotion. Sensing it, He hugs him again, making him almost tearful. "How are you, Dad?" he asks when they broke apart and Albus has recovered the use of his voice. "I'm okay," he only says, stroking his red hair, and I know him so well as to see all the agitation and emotions that swell up behind a short sentence and pretended composure. "And what about me?" There are so many different feelings clashing and fighting in me that for a few seconds I'm in blackout completely. In spite of myself, I leapt in joy, seeing him at first. Then, when he hugged Albus, I longed desperately for the same. Then, I felt jealousy and neglect in seeing their prolonged exchange from which I was totally excluded. When I finally realized all what was agitating me, I brought everything to order, and I hardened it. And I hated him, and I felt like punishing him for my confusion, for my weakness. I wanted to turn my heels on the room and on him, only to pain him. I almost did, but McGonagall was barring the way, and I knew she wouldn't have allowed me to. Now I know why she didn't say who the visitor was. She wanted to avoid me not showing up, as she knew I would have. All of this is the work of only a moment, until Dad, finally, remembers to have a second son, and raises his eyes to my forbidding ones, making his smile falters. And I know my first blow has been inflicted, and it's not going to be the last. However, he ambles over, trying to approach me, but I take a step back, just to make clear I don't want him to touch me. He doesn't try to hug me, and only put an hand on my shoulder, which I promptly shake off. I see, with the corner of my eye, Longbottom slightly shaking his head saddened, and McGonagall's furious glare is so strong that despite she's behind me, I can feel it trespassing my back. "How are you, James?" he asks, concerned, with a low voice. And in that moment, I don't know if I hate him more or myself for the confusion in my head, for this colliding emotion that brings me in wanting to hug him, to hate him, to love him, and to punish him at the same time. It's all his fault. Therefore, I gather all the spite I can muster, and being sure it's very visible on my face, I spat virulently. "What are you doing here?" "I need to talk to you two." "I don't want to talk to you." Longbottom approaches and taps my dad, who looks crestfallen, on the shoulder. "I gotta be going, Harry. We'll leave you to talk," he says to him, but warningly to me. "Or I may," my dad answers, as they shake hands and pat each other on the back. "I hope you'll come and visit me one day," he says with a half smile. "No chance of seeing you here again then?" "No, I believe not. Not for a long time at least. I was thinking about Christmas, but, you know." He passes a hand behind his neck and gives an uneasy laugh. "Ron would never allow me to put not even a toe at the Burrow. So there isn't any point, I guess." "I'll try to talk to him." "Not much you can do. We both know the situation is screwed." "I'd like to believe not." Longbottom shakes his head, but then he lifts up his chin. "Take care, Harry. Good luck. Call me when you are settled." "Settled where?" I interrupt, unnerved. They both look at me, but none of the two answers. Longbottom brings back his attention to my dad. "Goodbye, then." And he strides from the room before another word can be added. McGonagall then leaves the door. Her hand was still grasping the handle. She ambles over my dad, but when they are facing each other, none of the two speaks. Dad smiles quite slyly. "Goodbye, Minerva," he says. And I see what I thought I would never see in my lifetime. The headmistress' eyes are glazed with tears. She takes him by the shoulders and gives him a kiss on both his cheeks. "Goodbye, Harry," she says, gulping a couple of times before being able to utter those words. And then, quite overcome, she marches out from the room. The smile on my dad's face lingers for a bit, but then he shrugs and goes, closing the door. Then he looks at us both purposeful. "Boys, sit down. I need to talk to you about some important changes." "You leave Sunny here!" I hiss enraged as soon as intentions are explained. "No, James. I'll take her with me." "You won't! You leave her to the barrow until I'll be done with this damn school, and then I'll take care of her. What are you taking her for?" "I'm his father. She must stay with me." "Why? So she can end up killed like Mom?" I snort nastily. I see Dad wincing at my words as I spot with the corner of my eye Albus' fist darting toward my face, not in time, however, to be able to dodge it. But, making me jerk in surprise, my dad's hand darts clenching Albus' fist just in time to prevent it clashing against my face. "No, Albus," he says severe. Albus doesn't lower his fist, and, after a moment of hesitation, kicks me with force under the table, which makes me sprint up from my chair, ready to strike him. Dad is fast though. He shot up and put his other hand on my chest to stop me. "Albus, I told you no! James, sit down!" he orders. We glower at each other darkly for a few seconds, but then I slam down without letting him out of my sight. He's getting unpredictable. He never used to behave like this with me before. "Boys, I don't want you to fight," he says warningly, sitting back on his chair. "We don't need that too." Then, turning his attention to me, he speaks composedly. "I'm taking her with me to avoid that, James. She's going to be safe where we are going. We are changing names, and we will live with muggles. There is no magical community there. I have every legal right to do it, and I'll do it. End of the matter." "What about us?" I ask spitefully, crossing my arms. "Unfortunately," and I stress the word, "we are your sons too." I can sense Albus fidgeting, his eyes darting ferociously toward me. Dad sends him an admonishing stare, and then turns to me. "This is exactly what I wanted to talk about. You can choose. This is where I'm going," and mentions a place basically on the other bloody side of the planet. As I say, there are no magical people there. I'll live more or less like a muggle, and my name will be different. Here at Hogwarts, you're well protected, and I have no fears on that score. Moreover, I want to hope that eventually, with my disappearance, things will calm down by the time you finish school. However, if you want, you can stay with me. You will do school, I'll tutor you, and you can return in England only to give exams. I'm horrified and fascinated at the same time. Living as a muggle. No magic. That means no Quidditch between other things. No Francis. No Patrick. And in a corner of my mind, a small voice whisper, "No Ophelia." On the other side, in that place, nobody will know who we are. It's a fresh start, an opportunity to test myself. I'm all taken by this consideration, and silence stretches on. Dad looks at me, about to speak, but at last, seeing my forbidding expression, he changes his mind and turns toward Albus with a softer expression. "Albus, you still have quite a few years in front of you. If you don't feel like staying, you can come with me." Albus falters, clearly torn, and I'm seething. He has bloody taken the decision for me. It's so obvious he doesn't care if I bloody follow him or not, but precious Albus, obviously he wants him to go. I'm not coming, I hiss. I don't want to come with you, I say, defiant. It's not my intention of forcing anybody. It's your choice, he says, putting his hands together. I hope you will come for summertime, though. In a few days, you will be of age, so you can decide for yourself, but I'd be very glad if you come. I'll come, but only for Sunny. I see his face drop. He slumps back on his chair, closing his eyes a second and rubbing his face. But then, suddenly, he sat up and glares at me steadily. James, he only says purposefully. What? I answer aggressive, ready to snap at whatever he plans to say. He stares at me with those eyes that are slowly returning green, with a pained expression he doesn't bother to conceal. But it doesn't soften me. I keep my spleen very visible. Nothing, he says in the end, looking down at his hands. I'm glad you'll come, despite it's only for sunrise. Then, forcing a smile, he looks at Albus. What do you want to do? Albus fiddles uneasy with a thread sticking out from the sleeve of his uniform. I don't know, Dad. I must think about it. I like it here, but I don't like the thought of you and Sunny so far away. Is it really necessary? I'm afraid so. I want Sunrise to have a normal life, which she cannot get here. And I need somewhere quiet to live. I need a place where nobody knows me. Can you understand it? Albus nods, crestfallen. You don't have to decide now. Summer is not far off. You can finish your years early, and when you'll be there, you'll check it out, and you'll decide whether it might work for you. If not, he smiles and strokes his head. It's not a problem. I'll be far, but you can write me any time. It doesn't change much. You'll come for summertime and even for Christmas if you want to. I'll arrange everything. I'm having made some new Muggles passports for you. Where are you going? As soon as I can. A few days at most. Albus looks up, and after a moment of consideration he says, Dad, your hair is getting darker. And sure it is, the spell changing his look is fading, and every second that passes is giving us back our dad as we are used to know him. He pulls a curtain in front of his eyes, and seeing it quite dark, blurts out, Shit! Making Albus snigger. Dad rolls his eyes annoyed. It's going to take me forever to cast again all the spells. Albus, do you think there is any way to sneak out unnoticed? I don't know, Dad. It's lunchtime. Everybody will be around. They both fling toward the window, looking outside, where the mild weather had attracted most of the students outdoor. I cannot simply walk outside like that. It would be a suicide, he mutters, pondering, but then lights up. James, have you got the cloak? We are walking in the Hogwarts ground toward the gate, where we will say goodbye, protected from prying eyes. Dad is invisible, and on either side of him there is me and Albus. Albus is clearly downcast. He hasn't taken well this turn of event. Me neither, but opposite to Albus I'm fuming. He's taking Sunrise on the other side of the planet, and he's leaving us here. What will we do when studies will be over? Where will I go? And to do what? I don't want to be so far away from Sunrise, but I don't want to live in a godforsaken place as a Muggle either, far from friends, far from the borough. I bet he didn't even think about that. Around us, all the students are playing and chatting, enjoying lunchtime, and my head is spinning with all I would like to say and ask. But something is keeping me silent. Myself. He's about to go, far away. He won't be at the platform to welcome us at the end of the year. We won't return to our place like we used to do. The house will be empty. That life is over. I feel panic building up, and the scrape is going on inside me where a tiny furious voice is pounding. I can't leave him going this way without making up. Time is running out, and if I don't say goodbye to him properly, I regret it. I cannot let him go with the conviction that I hate him. But I won't allow my weak side to have the better of me because I do hate him. So I shouldn't fucking care how he feels, and I shouldn't feel anything in regards of him if not spiteful indifference. An enormous mental effort is needed to stamp back that voice, to silence it brutally because only hearing it makes my anxiety soar. But it's putting up a real fight. Then Francis spots me. He's playing Quidditch not far off with some other Gryffindor. He speeds up with his broom toward me and jumps down on my side, putting an arm around my neck, all flushed by the exercise. He doesn't notice how strained the situation is. He just greets Albus and turns to me, smiling eager. "What's up, Albus? Where are you going?" "Taking a walk with Albus," I answer courtly, hoping to discourage him. "You said you were going to come for lunch and you didn't show up. I got your broom though, so you can join us now. We need a beater. Are you coming? Albus, are you coming too?" "No, thanks," Albus mutters, looking fleetingly where Dad stands. "No, Francis can't. I'll come later," I say darkly, all wrapped up in my internal battle. "Oh, come on! Don't be such a pain in the arse. You're not doing anything. Get your starting walking all the time." "I said I can't," I answer sharp. But then I pause. A wave of resentment against Dad having the better of me, for all this confusion is creating in me. I don't want to say goodbye. I don't want to confront what it will surely be an awkward and painful moment where I know that whatever I'll do will make me feel awful. And here, I have an easy way out. "Actually, do you know what?" I smirk. "Why not? My work is not that important after all." He cheers, mounts his broom, and gestures me to sit behind him, which I do, without looking back. Albus' voice, sharp and angry, reaches my ear. "James, what the heck are you—" But he tails off abruptly, and I know that stopped him. And we are off to the others. When I dismount, everybody welcomes me, and Francis thrusts in my hand my broom. I try to join in the laugh and the chat, but my mind is all occupied by a strong buzz that doesn't allow me to make anything out of what the others are saying. I look back, and I see Albus watching me. His green eyes are so piercing I can spot them from here. But then he turns and starts to walk again. And I don't know how it's possible, because it's not. But I'm sure I can see Dad looking at me. Even if he is invisible, I know he lingers at the moment watching me, and I know that this is the last and final stroke of the day. The worst. Now I really beaten him down. Now I really punished him. And I should relish the moment because this is what I wanted all along. But my heart is beating fast and I can hardly breathe. The voice inside me giving last violent attacks. "You are still in time! Mount your broom and go back!" It yells, but the other replies confident. "It's him that ought to come to me. He must!" And Francis yanks me, laughing, asking what I'm staring so intently that they are starting without me, and I force a laugh, and I answer something, who knows what, while inside I'm fighting, I'm pleading. "Dad, take away that cloak and come to me, because I need you, and I can come to you. Show me that you care." My eyes cannot leave the spot, but I know he's not there anymore. He walked on. He is gone.